Hello and welcome to the Budget Knitter Podcast. My name is W.Spargur. You can follow me on Ravelry as WSpargurKnits, and you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. I will put those links in the description box below. My Twitter and Instagram usernames are from a long time ago, so none of them match, so it's just easier for me to put them in the description box below for you. So how are you? Today is Saturday, September 2nd. It's a beautiful Saturday for a wonderful 3-day Labor Day weekend. I am very, very excited about this weekend, mostly because I started a new job last week and I'm already getting a 3-day weekend, which is great. So I'm very excited that I kind of got trained and filled in on a lot of things, and then I've got 3 days to kind of let it mull over in my head, figure out what I'm doing, so that when I go back on Tuesday, I've got a pretty good handle on the situation. So I'm very, very excited about that. So a little bit more about what I'm up to. Right now, I actually spent this last week doing some stashing. I did not have a whole lot of yarn in my stash, mostly because I tend to buy something and then use it relatively immediately. So I did buy some yarn. Not a lot. I think I maybe only spent $25 on yarn, which if you're buying high-end yarns, it's like 1 skein. But I think I got 6. I got 6 skeins. Well, two skeins and 4 cakes. The Lion Brand mandala yarn that was sold out, I believe somebody put in the comments that it was available on Walmart.com, which it is. But I don't know exactly what happened there, but Lion Brand say they weren't going to have any more until January, but I just happened to check Walmart.com to see if they had any at any of the stores where I'm living here in Las Vegas, and all of a sudden every store was restocked with it. Like, a lot of it, not just, you know, a ball here or there, limited quantity, like a lot of it. I can actually insert a picture of some of that yarn that I found at the one closest to me. So I'll put a picture here so you can see just how much of it they got. And so yeah, I was there and I decided that I needed to buy 4 of them. What I love about the yarn is all of the colorways have really cool names, things that I really, really like, which is like Spirit, Wizard, Warlock, Unicorn, Sphinx, stuff like that. So first I'll show you what I keep my stash in, because I don't think I showed this in the last video. This is very similar to one of those folding storage cubes, except that this comes with a really cool lid, and it's clear, so you can see through it. It's got 2 great handles. So this is what I keep my stash in. So first thing is I bought 2 Caron Simply Soft worsted yarns in the, I believe this is, yes, Harvest Red colorway. I'll tell you why I got this later when I get to more of my objects. So this is what I have in Lion Brand mandala. Okay, this one, Chimera, C-H-I-M-E-R-A. I've never actually known how to pronounce that word, but this is what that looks like. The funny thing is, when they got the second shipment, hold on, I got one stuck. This is also Chimera, but those are vastly different. And I'm wondering if maybe somebody put the wrong label on one, because I don't know what I ended up with, but I don't think they're the same. Anyway, so I have those 2. Then I have, this is Centaur. I like this because it's a little bit darker, kind of reminds me of like the wilderness, backcountry. Actually, it kind of reminds me of a sweater. Reminds me of exactly the colors you would put in kind of a neutral sweater. So that is Centaur. This one is Warlock. There's some purples, some reds, greens. Very Warlock. And the last one that I have is Wizard. So Wizard and Warlock. Wizard is very bright. I love this colorway. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it yet because it is self-striping. The problem is that the colors actually go for a really long time, so you'd have to knit something pretty large to get the striping qualities out of it. So these might become things like scarves or maybe some kind of garment, a hat maybe. But I really want something that's going to use the whole ball because except where this one is starting with a very limited amount of yellow and ends with yellow, these typically don't have a color repeat. So to get the entire gambit of the cake, you need to use the entire cake. So I'll figure out what to do with that. But I have 5 of those. So that's what I bought this weekend. I bought 2 of those Caron Simply Soft Harvest Reds, and I bought 4 of those Lion Brand Mandala, and then I already had 1. I've had 4 previously. 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3. I had 3. I had 3 previously, but I have a repeat of one of those, so I've had 4. Which was one of them I'm using on that Harts, the Elizabeth Zimmerman Harts Pie Shawl. Somebody left a comment saying that they couldn't find the Harts Shawl pattern. That pattern is on Ravelry. I believe somebody else linked it in the comments, but I'm going to go ahead and link it below because I know a lot of people really think that pattern is beautiful, so I'm going to go ahead and link it below so that you can get it. It is a free pattern. They have it in a half circle, and they also have it in a full circle. So if you're somebody who doesn't like purling across the wrong side row all the way back, which I'm finding that the longer or the wider the shawl gets, the more I hate doing that. If you don't like purling, then you can do the full circle. I just want to kind of touch on some of the other things in my stash. So first is, I'll get to this in a minute. This is Caron cakes. And I started something with this and I hated it, so I ripped it back out and I actually have an office chair and I wound it around the office chair and then pulled it off, used some scrap yarn to tie it so it wouldn't get tangled. And I have not decided what I'm going to do with this yet. But I have it. This is left over from a virus shawl that I made for a friend. Then what I have in here, I have 5 balls of this. This is super bulky Bernat. I think it's French. Bernat? Anyway, this is their Softy Chunky. They sold it in Michael's, and it was 350 grams. It's an acrylic weight yarn. It was 378 yards, 346 meters. These are massive, and I think they discontinued not the Softy Chunky, but this size. So I bought 7 because they were on clearance for $3 a piece. I have not really used any of it, but I like the idea that I might be able to make a blanket out of it. It would be a really quick blanket, but I have brown, white, and green. I have used a full ball of brown. I'm currently using a ball of green on my 10-stitch blanket that I showed in my previous episode. This white is actually being used to begin and end a crochet blanket. I showed it last episode, but I'm going to show it to you again because I've got some progress on it. And I'm going to show you where this came into play and what I'm going to do with it later. So there are 5 balls of that in here. And then I have some other yarn in another thing, but it's just Red Heart acrylic yarn. It's one of those big balls that's like 700 something yards of worsted weight. So I have that. Now this, I have a lot of these weird boxes and things that I just acquire from people. So this is actually where I keep my leftovers. So I made a pair of socks out of this. Actually, this is Lion Brand Landscapes, and I ended up hating this yarn. I did make something out of it, but I didn't like it, so now I just kind of have it. This is more Cairn cakes, the end of a cake I didn't use. There's some... This is actually quite a bit more than scraps, but I haven't figured out what I want to use this for. This is more Red Heart yarn. And then I've just got little bits and pieces, some scrap pieces, things that just the last 3 or 4 yards of a skein or a ball or a cake that I'll probably use. I make stitch markers and progress keepers. I mean, that's what I use scrap yarn for, so that's probably what this will end up being as I get more projects kind of going. Yeah, so that's my stash. That's what I keep all of that in. It's my go-to, and I love the window in this so that I can kind of look down and go, oh hey, that's right, I have that yarn. And I love the lid of this because you can actually pull the handles up through the lid so you can leave the lid on and still carry it. I don't know where I got, well, I know where I got it. I got it from my mom. I don't know where she got it. So if I find that out, I'll let you know. But yeah. So that's my stash currently. From there, because we're still on what I'm doing, I have decided to attempt to cut out TV. Not all of it, but I found that I was so invested in so many TV shows that it was just getting ridiculous, and I was spending so much time on my sofa in front of my TV, and it's mindless. I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's mindless, and I didn't feel I was getting anything from it. So, what I've decided to do is spend that time reading. That takes away from my time to knit because I cannot knit and read. I know that there are people that can do that, but I am not one of those people. So I'm trying to cut out my TV and do more reading. And I think that is really paying off. I feel a bit more relaxed, honestly. I'm not fighting these weird... I have bouts of depression on occasion, so reading has actually helped with that because it's stimulating my brain and it's not allowing my mind to just wander and put me in a hole that I wasn't in. So that's helping. I'm still reading Deadly Decisions by Kathy Reichs. I mentioned that in my first episode. I have gotten... I'm over 100 pages in, which is over 1/4 of the way. So I'm doing pretty good. I read 1 to 2 chapters a day. I try to only read one thing at a time. Sometimes I will read multiple. There's something on my glasses. Sometimes I will try to read multiple books, but I found that that is just incredibly confusing, and stories start to run together. So that's what I'm doing. I'm reading Kathy Reichs' Deadly Decisions. My plan is that I've got a bookshelf of books that I haven't read. I think there's about 35 or 40 on there. My plan is to read them. I've got a list of the order I want to read them in, and not to buy any other books until I have finished what's on my shelf. The only thing I'm feeling that I'm going to run into is that a few of those are like book 1 of a series, and I don't have the other books. So I may have to... Okay, I've read the first one, I really want to know what's happening in the second one, so I might buy some in there, but I'm going to try not to. Luckily with Kathy Reichs, I think I'm only missing like 4 or 5, and I don't even know what they are right now. I have a checklist, but I don't know which ones I'm missing right now. But I think I have like the first 10, so that's good. And then I've got some young adult ones I'm reading. I read Illuminae, and I think the second one is Gemina. But the thing with that is it's supposed to be a trilogy. They just haven't released the third one yet, so I will probably buy the third one when it comes out so that I have it. So yeah, I'm trying to read more and cut out TV. With that said, time for knitting. And not just yarn, knitting. Okay, well, finished objects, I kind of lied. The only finished object I have is actually crochet. And that is a granny square baby blanket. I had intended this to be a lot bigger. I found that granny squares, I mean, they're great, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're very quick. I was getting bored. Not that I don't like it. The yarn, again, it's Red Heart, it's an acrylic, it's a cheap acrylic, so it was just getting rough on my finger. I wasn't enjoying doing it as much, and to be honest, I had no idea what I was going to do with it, and as much as I liked it, I just felt like I was never going to use it. So I have it, you know, maybe if one of my friends or something has a baby here. But, yeah. So this is my only finished object. And I actually finished it a while ago. I just forgot about it when I was doing my first podcast. And then I found it and went, oh yeah. So I have that. That is my only finished object. I don't remember what the blue is called. I believe the rainbow one is called Mexicana. Don't quote me on that. The funny thing is, I keep all of my labels. I keep every single one of them. They're just in a different Marilyn Monroe box in my closet, buried under a bunch of stuff, and I just haven't felt like digging for it. So I have it. I just don't want to go get it. Okay, so that was a finished object. Let's go to my whips. A lot of these are things that we saw the first episode, but I have made some progress on a lot of them. So, actually, let me show you the things that I started. I broke my rule. I know I said that I never do more than 5 at a time because then I'll never get anything done, but I broke that rule. So, let me show you what I've started. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know one of these. The other one I haven't posted yet. So in my Star Wars gift bag, I decided to start a sweater. This is what I'm using the Caron Simply Soft Harvest Red for. I love it. It's so soft. I went to a yarn shop recently. I went back to Sin City Knit Shop here in Vegas, and I really wanted to get to know the yarns, to know what materials they are, what they're good for, just kind of get an idea. And, you know, I hear all these podcasters say, oh, merino wool, it's so soft, and or this, like cashmere. Actually, this yarn shop didn't have any cashmere, but so I haven't been able to feel cashmere. But everybody's raving about all of these wools that are really soft, like merino and like superwash merino and things that are combined with nylon or stuff like that. And I wasn't impressed. There were a couple that I liked. I think I liked Cascade 220. That one felt okay. But I was coming across all of these yarns that other podcasters have mentioned, and they just didn't feel like knitters have described that they feel. So I'm using Caron Simply Soft, which is just an acrylic. It's an acrylic yarn, 100% acrylic. It is so soft. It is ridiculously soft, and I'm actually really excited to finish this sweater because I want to wear it already. It is, I cannot pronounce the name of this, but it is on Ravelry. So that is the name of the sweater. I don't have a color printer, but it's a really, really nice sweater. You can see that I've gone in and highlighted all of the numbers that I need. With that said, this calls for a 42, this is all in metric. This calls for a 42 centimeter length from the bottom to the underside of the armpit, but that's like 4 centimeters too long on me. But then I was starting to think that I think all of my sweaters hang a little low, and I think that's the way I prefer them. So I might just, because I've never knit a sweater, I've never in my life knit a sweater, never even attempted one, and I decided it was time. So I may just knit the pattern as it's written, so that when I'm done, I can go, okay, so for the next one, this is how I need to make the adjustments. Like I mentioned in my first podcast, I do practice knits. I know it's kind of a waste if you think about it, but it's not to me. In my opinion, you have to do something in order to learn what you're doing before you can start to make any changes. The only thing I've ever made a change on as the first pattern was a sock pattern, and that's because I did not like the way that they wanted the cuff knit. They wanted a 1x1 rib, and I didn't like that, so I decided to do a 2x2 rib. But that's the only thing I've ever changed on a pattern the first time. So I think with this sweater, I will probably just knit it as it's written and then make a change in a future sweater. The nice thing is I'm knitting the extra large, so it'll fit someone. It'll be the perfect size. If it doesn't fit me, it'll be the perfect size for someone. So that's that. The second thing I started is a crochet project. I'm keeping that in my foldable storage cube from last podcast. This is a Jada in Stitches tutorial. I love her channel. She is so quirky and so fun. This is her most recent tutorial. It's called the Feather and Fan Stitch, and this is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. It's all triple crochet. Do we call it triple or treble? I don't know. It's the one where you do it the most times. That sounds... I know so much about what I'm talking about, don't I? So yeah, the Feather and Fan. And the way she did it, she did 3 pattern repeats in gradient colors, in autumn colors. So she went white, then like light orange, dark orange, almost auburn, and then black. And it looked very Halloween. I told her, I actually commented on the video and said she looked like a Sanderson sister from Hocus Pocus, and she actually commented back. Jada in Stitches is like a celebrity to me. I love her so much. She's actually commented on several of the things where she did tutorials and then I made them afterwards and tagged her in it. She's commented on them several times, and so to me, that's the same thing as if I were meeting Johnny Depp or Channing Tatum or somebody like that. I freaked out when she commented back. I don't know, is that weird? Is it weird to get excited when somebody who's got a little bit more of a name in the knitting or in the yarn universe, when they comment back? Am I the only one that gets all giddy? No? Okay. Well, so yeah, I started this. I mean, it's pretty wide. It's wide. It's not exactly blanket width. It might be like twin mattress blanket width, but it's not gonna fit on my bed. So what she did is, it's a wrap as her tutorial, but I don't know, I might make it a little bit longer than that. I don't know, I haven't decided. But that's what I started. I started that. That is on Red Heart acrylic. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to soften that. It's not terrible, but I do want to soften it up before I give it to anyone. Because I'm going to give it to somebody. I have no need for it. I just really liked the pattern. So it will go to somebody. Okay, so continuing on, I tried very hard in the last 2 weeks to touch every project that I have cast on. And I think I did. I think I did touch everything that I have. So back to this virus shawl. I added, I think last time you saw it, I was only up to the last silver row here. So I added a row of black. And my intent today is to get 2 more rows put on this. The friend that I'm making it for, she's not asking me about it. In fact, I don't think she even remembers I'm making it for her. I told her at one point I was, but I want to be able to give it to her. And also, I'm really trying to lessen the number of works in progress I have, because I want to be able to show you that I finished things. instead of just showing you the same projects over and over again. Because I don't know if you watch any other podcasts like Yarn Hoarder. There are some of these people that they start and finish like 10 projects every 2 weeks, if not more. I don't have that kind of time. I don't, well, I also do like a million other things, but I don't have the time to sit down and finish that many projects. I'm also not as fast a knitter. Like, I'm a relatively quick knitter, but some of these people who knit continental, that's pretty quick, and the people who flick, they are relatively quick with knitting. I'm kind of a thrower. I might do a video and show you how I knit, but I'm not ridiculously fast. So I don't finish projects quickly, and on top of that, a lot of those people are doing small projects. I'm making very large projects, so they take a little bit longer. We'll go back in the bag. 10 stitch blanket, I didn't make any progress on that. That's the one project I didn't touch. I wanted, well, that one, it's so large, and again, I don't have a lot of time, so it's one of those things I need a good chunk of time to feel like I'm getting anything done with it. So that actually might be something I work on today or tomorrow. 3-day weekend, so I might try to get some more progress done on that. I still haven't decided how big I'm gonna go, so that one might be a work in progress for quite a bit longer. Okay, so I have so many bags over here. How do these other podcasters do this? Where do they keep all their stuff? So, this crochet blanket. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted about this Bernay blanket yarn blanket. This is getting so big. It's 128 stitches across. Last time I showed it, I was only up to here, I think. This is how much of this yarn I have left. And I am very excited to say that I am going to be able to finish this blanket. When I pulled it out to show you guys and told you I wasn't really back to wanting to work on it because the yarn was a little weird, I decided at that time, or maybe a day later, it's like, I really should pull that back out. So I did. And then I was like, I need more of this yarn. So I made a trip to Michael's, because that's where you have to get it, or that's where I was getting it. They didn't have any. And the yarn that was very similar, just in different colorways, was on clearance. And clearance at Michael's means that they're not going to have any more. So I went to yarnspirations.com. I looked everywhere that sells Bernay blanket yarn, and they're out. So I went back to Michael's, but I went to michaels.com. They had it. They had it online. It was on clearance online too, for $5 a roll, or a cake. I cannot tell you how much I panicked when I realized that if I didn't get it then, I was not going to get it at all. I bought 6. $42 with shipping. So, and the only reason I knew exactly how many I needed is because I laid this out on my bed, and I said, okay, I've had 2 cakes of this, and I looked for where I tied it back together and counted how many rows one cake would make. It's like 9 or 10. So then I measured that distance from the first row to the 9th or 10th row, wherever it ended up, and then I measured my bed and divided it. I needed 6 more balls in order to get this blanket done. It is going to be here, you know what? It might be here later today. If not today, it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday. They said by the 6th of September, the 1st through 6th. I need a little bit more specific arrival dates, but 1st through 6th. I am really, really happy I'm going to be able to finish this. It is so soft, and it is going to be perfect for the winter because it is thick and it is warm. I have had it on my lap and started sweating. That's how nice it is. I am so excited to finish this. I can't even tell you. This is where the Bernay Softy Chunky comes in. So, this is my working edge. This is where I'm going up. The bottom edge, however, because I didn't realize I was going to use blanket yarn, I thought I was just going to use Softy Chunky. There are 3 rows of double crochet and 1 row of half double crochet at the bottom of this blanket in the Softy Chunky. What I like about that is that it's kind of a great top and bottom. It will bring the whole blanket together, and it creates a symmetry that the yarn itself, that the blanket yarn is not going to create. So regardless of how asymmetrical the entire blanket will look when it's completed, the rows of white on top and bottom will tie the blanket in together. So that's what I'm using that for, and that's also why I haven't used any more of that ball of white Softy Chunky, because I don't know how much I need. I'm gonna do it exactly. It's gonna be 3 more rows of double crochet and 1 more row of half double crochet. I am not gonna put a side border on. I think that this looks fine. I don't think it needs a border. I've made sure that the pattern, or well, it's not a pattern, it's just double crochet back and forth. But I have made sure that it's not doing any kind of weird bumping out, and I think it looks fine. I don't think that there's a need for a border. Borders can look nice, but I also think that sometimes it takes away from it. So, yeah, so I'm not going to put an extra border on it. I'm just excited that I'm going to be able to get this done. Oh. And this I'm actually keeping in another Marilyn Monroe bag. My husband loves Marilyn Monroe, so we have a lot of Marilyn Monroe stuff. Oddly enough, which he's not using. So I am. Okay. 2 more things. Pie shawl. I decided to use the project bags. I showed this in a tips and trick video. It's on my channel. I'm going to link it below because I don't think everyone was aware that it was there. I think it's had significantly less views than my first podcast did. So there's a project bag video, and I will link it. If you remember, I was making just a plain circle pie shawl. Last time, my needles are going to pop off, somewhere in this yellow section. So I have made significant progress. The reason it doesn't look like I've done a whole lot is that this was 288 stitches around at 24 rows, or at 48 rows. I am now at 576 stitches with 96 rounds. I am on row 20 of 96. I was so excited when I found the Lion Brand Mandala yarn because now I can finish this. I've actually tied in a second ball, which is mostly just blues and grays, which I think will tie in pretty well down here, so you'll have just this kind of bit of color here. But I still don't think that's going to be enough yarn, so I'm really glad that I have another ball that I can jump to, which will just add some more color, which is cool. Again, this is kind of just a practice knit, because I'm going to practice blocking, and I'm going to practice what I can do. Since I use acrylic yarns, I need to figure out what I can do to make my projects look good, and this is just a great thing to practice on. I did have to move up. I was using, I think, a 32-inch cord. I am up to a 40. Is this a 40? It's either a 40 or a 47. I think it's 40. I think this is 40 inches. My intention is maybe to move up to the 60. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that is what I'm working on. So I've made pretty good progress, because I think in 2 weeks that was equivalent to about 36 rows of knitting. With that many stitches, that's a lot of knitting. The last thing, which I'm proud of, but I'm still not done with, but I hope to have this done in the next 2 weeks. because I want to show you the finished project, and also I really want my needles back. I don't like taking needles off, like even though they're interchangeables, I don't like taking the needles off. I think it's tedious, and on top of that it just encourages me to start more projects without finishing others. So leaving the needles on is just a great way for me to be like, hey, finish the project so that you can have your needles back. We're back to the diaper bag. This is the Harts Shawl. And I'll show you where I was last time. Oh, please don't fall off. I also had to go up on this one too. Okay. Where was I? I was on this fourth heart. No, wait, where's the fourth one? 1, 2, 3. I was on this heart. This heart here. I finished the last pattern repeat of hearts, and now I'm on vines. I have done 5 of 11 pattern repeats of the vines. So if you can see there, hearts, and now I'm on the vines. Very lacy, very new to me, but I am absolutely loving this. The way it is turning out is so gorgeous. I know it's kind of hard to see held up like this, and it's not blocked, which I intend to show it when I've got it like on a blocking board held out. I want to be able to show that to you guys. I love this pattern. I will probably never wear this, but I'm thinking I'll probably give it to my mom. I love it so much. It's gorgeous. It's tedious. Not tedious. It takes a while because, again, I'm having to purl back, and my purling is so slow. I'm getting faster at it, but it's taking a while. But I have 6 more vine repeats to go, and the repeat is only 4 rows. So, let's see, 4 times 6, 20, 24 more rows to go on the vines, and then I do 2 pattern repeats of hearts, which is just 10 more rows, because the heart repeat is 16, 17, 18. I think it's 18 more rows, because you do 2 setup rows, and then the pattern repeat is 8 rows. So yeah. Is that right? I can't remember. Anyway, and then after that, you do a lacy bind off. You like you do a bunch of yarn overs to increase the number of your stitches, but then you bind off immediately on the next row to make it a little bit more stretchy, and then you take it off the needles and you block it. So I am really, really hoping, because I'm going to work on this weekend too, I am really hoping that this is going to be off the needles by the next time I podcast. If not, it'll be really close. Okay, so that is all of my whips, everything that I've been working on, which is exciting, because some of those are going to be done soon, and I cannot wait. I have notes this time. Okay. So, I just want to give a little clarification about a couple of things from my first podcast. I realize in my first podcast, I mentioned some things that cost a little bit of money. Like, I keep a tablet. I love Apple products. I have a MacBook, an iPad, an iPhone. I also mentioned that I use Knitter's Pride interchangeable needles. So I want to clarify something. I have Apple products because they were gifts. My MacBook was basically free. A friend of mine, it had some water damage, but she waited like 2 years to do anything about it. And when she gave it to me, of course, it was all dried up. Nothing was fried. So all she really wanted back was the data, and she gave me the computer. So I just rebuilt a little bit of it. And so I have a MacBook because I rebuilt it for a friend. And she had already purchased another computer at the time, so all I did was pull the data off. The iPad was a month. I paid on it monthly until it was paid off. The only thing I'm really paying for Apple-wise is my phone. The tablet that I keep my patterns on, that was a gift. the Knitter's Pride needles. Those are something that I had been eyeing for a really, really long time. I mean, ever since Stacy from Very Pink Knit started getting sponsored by them, it was months of looking and watching her use those needles before I finally decided to go get some. I did not buy a set. I did not buy a set of interchangeable circulars. I bought 3 needle tips and 4 cords. It came out to like $50. 3 needle tips, 3 sets of needle tips and 4 cords. I got that at my local knit shop here, Sin City Knit Shop. That's what I use. Recently for the sweater, I'm using a pair of their, I think, Dreams. That was another purchase that I made because I needed another size. These are decisions that I had to make in order just to get certain things done. I realized that not everyone has the ability to get some of those things, and I want to make it clear that I understand that it may seem like I'm being a little bit pretentious and saying, oh, budget knitting, but I have all of this stuff. These are purchases that were saved up for. They were purchases that were, maybe I had a little extra money, but I wasn't spending everything. It was, I made a decision at that point to spend a little bit of extra on something that was going to help me. And again, a lot of things are gifts. A lot of the gifts I ask for like birthday and Christmas are knitting tools or yarn. Actually, I just sent my mom a text and said, hey, the mandala yarn is back at Walmart. If you happen to be at Walmart, please pick up any and all of it that you can get, because it's not going to be back till January, and I would really love that yarn. So a lot of things I ask for are also gifts. So I don't want anyone to think that budget knitting means that you still have to have a lot of money, because it doesn't. And I hope to show that in further tips and tricks videos that I'm going to be posting. I also want to let you know that the tips and tricks videos are going to be separate from my podcast, because the podcast is about kind of the things I'm working on. I would like the tips and tricks videos to be a separate thing, so if you subscribe to my channel, you will be notified when those videos come up. And that way, we can kind of keep things separate. We can keep that discussion there, so that if I need to do any kind of updates, I can touch on that in my next podcast. Speaking of that, my last tips and tricks video was on project bags, and I said let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas, because I touched on things like plastic bags, using gift bags as you've seen here, lunch boxes like these, anything like that. And I did have some suggestions that I would like to relay to you. Ziploc bags. I cannot believe I forgot about Ziploc bags. I have seen podcasters use Ziploc bags and talk about how that's how they carry their knitting on the go. I cannot believe I forgot about that. Ziploc bags, great project bags. Tupperware. I had not thought about that. Mostly because I like the idea of being able to take your stuff with you. I guess if you're using a small project, you can probably slip Tupperware in a bag or something. But I was thinking in terms of in-home storage for your projects. Keeping bags everywhere, it doesn't really stack well. You've kind of just got this pile of bags. If you were to keep your projects in Tupperware, you could stack them and keep it organized, and they're also clear so you can see what's in what. So that is a great idea. I love that. Pods containers, like Gain or Tide Pods containers. They're those little laundry detergent plastic pods that you throw in your washer instead of having to measure out a cup of detergent. They come in like a circular, I mean, it's pretty big. Typically, it's relatively clean on the inside, and it smells great because there's some fragrance in there. So if you're not allergic to fragrances and you use pods, it's a nice plastic sturdy container. So you have animals, like I have a dog, and I don't want her to just start chewing through my projects. That's a good idea, and multiple uses there. So you're getting to wash your laundry, and then when you're done, you've got a project container. And the last one I saw was knitting your own project bags. I had forgotten about this. I did at one point have a book that had a pattern on how to knit a drawstring bag. And so that's a really great idea, using your knitting to hold your knitting. I mean, that's just clever. So there are patterns for different kinds of knit bags that you can do. Take some time to look up some of those, see if there's any of those you like. You can always use like your extra yarn, do some stash busting, knit some project bags for yourself, and then, you know, I think that's a really cute idea. So thank you for those suggestions. Again, I'm going to link that previous tips and tricks video in the description box below so that you can go back and watch that if you need any ideas for project bags. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the episode, so I like to do what the grocery girls do on their Craftsy Off Our Needles podcast, and sometimes what they do on their own too. Favorite things. I have so many favorite things that sometimes I forget that I have so many favorite things, and then I can't think of the things that I think are favorites. So I wrote them down this time. First thing I'd like to touch on is podcasts that I watch. Again, I watch the Grocery Girls. I love, love, love everything they do. They're so funny. I mean, some of their podcasts are almost 2 hours long, but that never bothers me. I love every minute of watching them. I also really enjoy Yarn Hoarder. She's great. She's a mom. She's a business owner. She does everything. She sews, she knits, she crochets, she spins, she weaves. Her daughter does needle felting and pot holders. Very crafty family. I love her podcasts. The only thing I would ever say to her is, you have a wall of yarn behind you. Stop buying it. Please knit some of the stuff that's on there, because I can see several of those skeins and I want to know what they look like when they're knit up. But there's a reason she's called the Yarn Hoarder. Love that podcast. It's a lot of fun. I also watch Eric Lutz of Sticks Plus Twine. Again, Jada and Stitches. She's my crochet go-to. She doesn't really do a podcast. She does tutorial videos. She typically she'll write a pattern out, or she'll create something, and then she'll do a tutorial on how to make it. Because in my experience, reading crochet patterns, I am not quite up to how to do that yet. So I really appreciate tutorial videos that show you how to make something from beginning to end. So she's great. If you ever want to do anything with crochet, Jada and Stitches is where to go. I will link her below. A few other podcasts, I just kind of show up on them. You know, they come up in my suggested videos. I've watched the Fawn Knits, F-A-W-N, I believe. She's got long podcasts. She's got some really cool stuff. I believe she's also a yarn dyer. She's a little dry for my taste. Not that necessarily doing a podcast means you have to have a lot of personality, but it doesn't move. I'm a very upbeat person, so it's very opposite of me. I love the information she has. It's just one of those things that I tend to watch when I'm a little bit more relaxed, like maybe in bed and kind of just... That's when I watch her. And then... I don't really watch any others. I do watch University, E-W-E University. She's great. She's a professor. She does a lot of really cool things, and she's got a lot of really cool information that's not always about knitting. I mean, her videos are always knitting videos, but she has all kinds of other information. She stays up to date on scientific research and different things going on in the scientific realm. So if you love learning about science and you also love knitting, that's a great podcast to watch. I suggest that as well. Other than that, yeah, I don't really watch any others right now. Again, I'll kind of click on one here, here or there, depending on if I like the title or it looks like they're making something cool. But really, I'm still trying to get into everything. I touched on books I'm reading earlier. Again, Deadly Decisions by Kathy Reichs. Some books that I've read that I really enjoy. I really enjoyed Illuminae. I will put the title and author in the description box below because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I really enjoy that. Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Suzanne. You might see some of that here behind me. It's my husband's favorite book, like absolute favorite book and movie. He loves it to death. He has multiple copies. He's got a first edition copy of Valley of the Dolls. It's worth like $800. It's really nice. So I've read that. Great book. Harry Potter series. Can't recommend the Harry Potter series enough. Maybe just a little overexcited about Harry Potter. What else did I read recently? I've read a lot of things. I just can't remember what I've read recently. Huh. I tend to sell the books that I finish reading. I don't keep them. I tend to get rid of them. Oh, the Maximum Ride series by James Patterson. I'm not a huge fan of James Patterson, but the Maximum Ride series was a lot of fun. So if you haven't read that, I would encourage you to pick that up. I can't really remember. Again, I've read a lot of things, so they kind of all bleed together at some point. But as I read more, I'll update you on the things I'm reading. Another favorite thing, Chipotle. There's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, or they say, oh, Cafe Rio or Qdoba. That's fine. I love Chipotle. Give me a second. Sorry for that interruption. That was my mailman. Guess what just arrived? Oh my gosh, I want to open this right in front of you. My dog barked. She's loud. Anyway, so my mailman popped in to look at my trains because he loves trains. I didn't know that. That's really cool. I'm actually going to insert a video at the end of this because I told you I would show you my trains. So I'm going to put a video at the end of this where I show you my trains. Anyway, I just got my yarn and I want to show you. Why did they put so much tape on this? It's not like... Yes. It is exactly what I needed. 2, 4, 6. Oh, yes. I might just kick myself in the butt and finish this weekend. I might have to. Oh, I'm so happy. Yarn. Okay. I'm gonna use this box too. Oh, thank goodness for that. Where was I? Favorite things. Chipotle. So, I love Chipotle. If I could, I would eat there every day. I don't have that kind of money. But, oh, it is so good. It is so good. If you've never eaten there, I'm sorry. You should. At least once. Try it. It's so good. So, Chipotle. Favorite thing. My last favorite thing is my mom. I love my mom. She is so supportive and always there to listen when I need her. Well, maybe not necessarily right when I need her. Usually I have to call her like 8 times and then send her like 4 text messages before she ever gets back to me. And then sometimes I have to wait 3 days. But typically when I need her, she's there. But I love her. She's been so understanding and supportive with my knitting, with my move from Kentucky to Las Vegas, with just everything in my life, and I couldn't thank her enough for the efforts that she's put into keeping our relationship positive, and just, everyone should hug their mom. If you are able, hug your mom, or whoever you call mom. They will always do more for us than we will ever know. So, favorite thing, my mom. Alright. So that is everything I have for you, just to wrap up here a little bit. The tips and tricks videos, I will be doing those. Again, they're going to be separate videos, so make sure that you are subscribed so that you will be notified when those videos go up. Again, I'm going to link the first one at the bottom of the video here so that you can go and watch that. If you have any questions about things that you want to know about knitting or crocheting on a budget, or about just anything that I've talked about in general, please feel free to leave me a comment. I try very hard to answer every comment that comes through. That's not necessarily possible all the time, but I do try very hard to get to everybody who has a question. Podcast, I try to do them every 2 weeks. I know this is only episode 2, but so far I'm keeping up. So every 2 weeks I'm going to try and have a podcast for you. Hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, find me on Ravelry, WSpargurKnits. All of those links will be in the description box below. I'm also going to link the podcast that I watch, just in case you haven't heard of some of those people and you want to find out what they're all about. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me today. This is a little bit longer than the last one I did, but we had a lot to talk about. So thank you so much. I hope to do a tips and tricks video maybe next week or later this week. So be looking for that. If you have any suggestions about things that you think I should cover, let me know. I'd be happy to look into doing any of those things for you. So I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, or whatever weekend or day whenever you end up seeing this video. So I hope you have a great evening, a great day, a great weekend, a great week, a great month. Just have a great time. Enjoy your knitting, enjoy your crocheting, enjoy all of the crafty things you do. There are not enough of us in the world. So just spread the love with your yarn, or your fabric, or whatever it is that you do. Thank you again for joining me. I hope to see you again in 2 weeks, and hopefully I'll have some finished projects for you. So here's where I'm going to put that train video. If you don't find any interest in my model trains, you can go ahead and cut off of this video. But otherwise, stay tuned. It's just a short little clip, and I will see you guys soon. Alright, bye. So, this is behind my podcast, of course, as you saw earlier, but this is where I keep a good majority. So I've got Lego trains, a few cabooses. So these are all my O-gauge, or at least the ones that I have out. Polar Express, Wizard of Oz, and Hogwarts Express. And then I've got a bigger version of the Polar Express there. And then over here, I actually have a metal version. It's like a handcrafted metal version of the Hogwarts Express. So I've got that there. There's an ornament in that thing, but I don't think you can see it. And then here I've got another model of the Hogwarts Express. And then that's one I got as a kid, and then just some little ornaments and stuff, and my books. And then the last thing I have is over here. This is my N-scale train. This is the smallest train that I own, but it is probably it's the only one set up to run right now. And then I do have some other trains, but they're put away in a drawer right now. So, but yeah, these are, oh, and then I have some up there above my mantelpiece. So, yeah, those are the model trains that I own, and of course I still love collecting them, so yeah, trains.